Welcome to Uncloaked Illusions. I'm Chris Anthony, and I wanted to give a little perspective on the Parkland School massacre that occurred a couple days ago. An orphan 19-year-old with a troubled past and his own AR-15 rifle was charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder Thursday morning following the deadliest school shooting in the U.S. in 5 years. Law enforcement officials told the Associated Press that Nicholas Cruz legally purchased the assault weapon used in the attack. As reactions poured in Thursday, President Donald Trump focused on the young man's mental health. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions said he wants the Justice Department to study how mental illness and gun violence intersect to better understand how law enforcement can better use existing laws to intervene before these school shootings happen. Now, my point on the notion of focusing more so on the mental health issues. I believe that President Trump is absolutely correct with this, and he's getting a lot of slack, especially from CNN, about this concern. But in truth, there are a great deal of people in this country that are mentally unstable. And what's even more alarming about it is most people haven't even been diagnosed, so a great deal of it is undocumented. But there are people that are dealing with mental illnesses, but because it's been stigmatized when it comes to certain communities, it's never ever treated. It's never even diagnosed or assessed in any sort of way. I'll continue. It cannot be denied that something dangerous and unhealthy is happening in our country. I agree with that. Sessions told a group of sheriffs in Washington. In every one of these cases, we've had advanced indications and perhaps we haven't been effective enough in intervening. I agree with that as well. For the most part, when these mass shootings or when these attacks occur, you have a group of people that surface pointing out these erratic patterns in behavior of these particular assailants. And again, it goes unnoticed, unchecked. And it's, again, because we as a country have become so conformed and we've also become normalized in what this would be as mental illnesses being displayed. We've normalized people with mental illnesses. And this is why we're going to see a plethora of this, and we've seen a great deal of this. Okay, I'm going to other parts of the article. Now, this is what they described Nicholas coming into the school wearing. It was the nation's deadliest school shooting since a gunman attacked an elementary school in Newton, Connecticut. Let's see, I need to bypass that a bit because, yeah. Police say Cruz, equipped with a gas mask, smoke grenades, and magazines of ammunition, opened fire with a semi-automatic weapon, killing 17 people and sending hundreds of students fleeing into the streets. Now, I've seen a couple of the videos that's been circulating through the media, and you can see the students escaping and being led to certain parts away from the school. Okay. Trump lamented in a tweet that there were so many signs that the Florida shooter was mentally disturbed, even expelled from school for bad and erratic behavior. Neighbors and classmates knew he was a big problem. Must always report such instances to authorities again and again. And also, this is something that's overlooked. And again, it Just boils down to the normalization of this type of behavior. Trump also issued a proclamation saying, in part, our nation grieves with those who have lost loved ones and plan to address the nation about the shooting. Pope Francis, this prick, sent a telegram of prayer and condolences, and the New York Stock Exchange held a minute of silence after its opening bell. Okay. Cruz legally purchased the AR-15 used in the attack about a year ago. Law enforcement officials told the Associated Press the officials not authorized to discuss this publicly spoke on conditions of anonymity. Pronouncing it right. Anonymity. Anonymity. Tongue-tied. Federal law allows people 18 and older to legally purchase long guns, including this kind of assault weapon. Yeah, that is true, of course. You can fact check that you are legally you're legally able to purchase a firearm at 18 years old. It is interesting that you can legally purchase firearms at 18, but you cannot drink alcohol in most of the states in the country until you're 21 years old, because I believe there are some exceptions. Authorities offered no immediate details about a possible motive except to say that Cruz had been kicked out of the school, which has about 3,000 students. Students, and this is the point that I was making a little earlier, I kind of jumped the gun. Students who knew him described a volatile teenager whose strange behavior had caused others to end friendships with him. Cruz's mother, Linda Cruz, died of pneumonia on November 2nd. Neighbors, friends, and family members said, according to the Sun Sentinel. You know, that's also something that can trigger a person to be unhealthy mentally, is the trauma that one can experience. You don't know how close he was to his parent and what that could have triggered in him. Like Pee Wee Herman, the word of the day, triggered. I digress. This is nothing to be jobble or joking in any way about, and I hope that that's not coming across in that sense. Cruz and her husband, who died of a heart attack several years ago, adopted Nicholas and his biological brother Zachary after the couple moved from Long Island in New York to Broward County. The boys were left in the care of a family friend after their mother died, said family member Barbara. This is a little difficult to pronounce. It seems like it can be Russian, or it can be it can be Ukrainian, but Ukrainians, a great deal of them speak Russian as well. It's Kombatovich of Long Island. Unhappy there, Nicholas Cruz asked to move in with a friend's family in Northwest Broward. That family agreed, and Cruz moved in around Thanksgiving. According to the family's lawyer, who did not identify them, they knew that Cruz owned the AR-15, but made him keep it locked up in a cabinet. Okay. He did have the key, however. Okay. Okay, so this is also a point out. Victoria Alvaro, a 17-year-old junior, said Cruz was expelled last school year because he got into a fight with his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. She said he had been abusive to the girl. I think everyone had in their minds, if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be him, said Dakota Muchler, also 17. Now, again, you have the mutated form of the liberals going completely mad, and you have Congress kind of asking and demanding, in a sense, that the Second Amendment is revised, and it doesn't really need to be revised. It needs, regulations need to be applied to being able to get guns. And first of all, you should have the whole entire country evaluated psychologically, because again, a great deal of these people are free roaming, and no one has ever reported any of their erratic, and behavior. No one, no one ever reports it, and everybody has just normalized this type of behavior. So that does mean that, again, we have a great deal of people that are psychologically off their fucking rockers, and they can purchase a gun because, again, no one has ever evaluated them. And that goes to even, the schools that I were a part of at some point. We would have these erratic, misbehaving goddamn students, and nobody would ever evaluate them. The first thing a great deal of parents want to do is throw them in special ed so they can receive that nice old government check. And I've seen this happen with family members of mine, where the parents would literally force the kids to pretend to be mentally unstable so they can receive that government handout. My point, this is a tragedy. Any tragedy where someone is losing their lives is horrible. It's unthinkable, and it's something that, unfortunately, you wish you could eliminate, but we live in a reality-based world. This cannot ever happen. The only thing that can happen is regulations, laws to prevent these types of things from occurring can be implemented, instead of all the amendments trying to be disbarred, because that's pretty much what a great deal of Congress is trying to do. And for the most part, the again, mutated, insane liberal class. A firearm, a knife, a machete, whatever the case may be, a board, a piece of glass, these are all inanimate objects, and they cannot just decide to injure someone, let alone kill someone. Guns have absolutely nothing to do with people being murdered. It's the person who's carrying the act out that we should be looking at, and we should even consider, and not the weapon, because without the person wielding the power and force of that weapon, the weapon is not going to decide to just shoot someone. The knife is not going to decide to just stab someone. So again, I think we need to approach it realistically, even when it comes to inanimate objects. This is obviously a mentally disturbed person. And again, no one knows what this young man was facing, whether kids at school were kind of causing some of this, because as kids, we can be, when I was a kid, I had some cruel moments with people as well, not bullying wise, but at least just making fun of people and trying to get a joke out of it. And you don't know how people process that, how they filter it, how they perceive it. So we have to be a little careful with this, and I think it needs further investigation and further evaluation psychologically with the young man. But I also just maintain that a great deal of people are walking around psychologically unstable, but until we address that issue, that people are overdosing on opioids, people are overdosing on any kind of drug that they can, get for themselves, get their hands on. You know, even people who are completely reliant on marijuana and they can't eat, sleep, shit, or think without it. You know, I've even had people try and argue me down that, oh, you can't get addicted to weed. And I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. I'm addicted to coffee. You can get addicted to anything. So let's not fool ourselves. You know, you have to wonder why people need to be doped up for the most part in this country. What are they facing? What are they dealing with? That's the only escapism that they find conducive. Like, subscribe, leave comments, share the video. Let's have this discussion. Let's open up a platform for this discussion, the mental illnesses that we completely have normalized in this country. I'm Chris Anthony, and I'm out.